yourself at the time. We have attached to this document the debit transaction as per Executive Directive PR/C/700, Volume 3, Folio 62. And then there are handwritten receipts by Makamba, dated 36 December 2013, and by yourself of, there's a receipt, handwritten receipt for 5 million by Makamba, dated 36 December 2013 and 31st December 2013. And then there's an authority from yourself authorizing, which states, I hereby authorize Mr. Makamba to receive the amount of $2 million on my behalf from the Central Bank of the Gambia, signed by yourself, dated 31st December 2013. And a receipt by Makamba saying, receive the said from Makamba, 31st December 2013. And there's another authority, this time typewritten, signed by you, acknowledging receipt of the sum of $3 million. So we would like you to explain these transactions to the Commission.
The first document I have that has a 5 million payment and a transfer of 70,721 US dollars to African Union, and another one to the University of Nebraska of 25,627.82, and an extra $400. Now, these transactions are backed by cash withdrawals is instructions directly from the president issued to me, and because of my busy schedule, sometimes I can't go in myself. The gentleman you mentioned, Makamba, was my orderly when I was SG, and I would just instruct him to go and receive the cash on my behalf, and it will be handed over to the president as directed.
Okay. Now you're saying the 5 million cash, which is the one I'm asking you questions about.
Yes.
Because that's the cash one. The other ones have some documents showing they were paid to some third parties.
Yes.
Now this one was a cash withdrawal. You're saying you had instructions from the ex-president to withdraw this money in cash.
Yes.
Where would those instructions be found?
Like I said during my previous appearance, sometimes the president, most times actually, he would give verbal instructions. After carrying out his instructions, usually to the several instructions in a row, will originate a memo that's addressed to him, informing him that we had carried out the instructions issued, and through such memos, we would get him to endorse it and keep the regarding that project, that he was the guy doing that project.
In Kanilai?
In Kanilai, yes.
Now, signed by Noah Toure and yourself. Now, I expect you to have really more to say about him than that he was just a contractor at Kanilai. 12 million is a significant amount of money. Do you want the opportunity to look at the files, maybe to refresh your memory as to what contract he was actually performing?
Yes.
Okay. So let me just understand, Mr. Sabally. In terms of the president instructing you to pay anyone, you wouldn't seek details about why you were paying that person?
Usually there would be information coming through the files in terms of the kind of work done and certificates of completion as to what stage of the work has been completed.
Okay.
And this would come through our record system.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You're saying this, you think, to the best of your memory, it had to do with work in Kanilai?
Yes.
Right. What was the accounting system at State House? Because what we have here is the payment. We have collected instructions and payment by the bank, that's central bank or other commercial banks. Well, I presume you had an accounting system where vouchers were prepared and there was a narration of the transaction. Did you have one?
Yeah, we had that, but like you alluded to the last time, these accounts were not within the central government payment system. But despite that, we would normally request documentation supporting every single payment before the payments are issued.
Are you saying they did not go through an accounting officer who would prepare some transaction documentation before you actually write a letter giving instructions or you issue a check?
Some of these payments would be done without going through an accounting officer.
I see. So on the basis of the instruction from the president, a check would be drawn or a letter would be written?
On that basis, and also supporting documents usually provided by the payee.
Okay. So just to be clear, the accounting staff that were provided by the Accountant General's Department to every ministry and department, and I'm sure they were provided to the Office of the President, did not handle these transactions that are under consideration at the moment?
Some of the transactions did not go through them.
But some did?
Some did.
During your time as Secretary General, who was head of accounts at the Office of the President?
We had a lady, Ya Ili. Okay. There was a lady called Ya Ili who was the head of accounts.
Do you remember her second name, family name?
No, I don't, but she's she's been in the service for quite long, I think.
Ya Ili.
Ya Ili. When the government of the Gambia broke ties with Taiwan, we had a lot of students being paid for either directly by the Taiwanese government or from funds provided by the Taiwanese government domiciled at the Office of the President. Those students who were, a lot of them mid-career, some of them towards the end, we continued paying for such students from accounts that were within the control of the presidency.
I see. This was when you were Secretary General?
This happened when I was Secretary General.
2014?
2013 to 2014, but I think it's actually happened late 2013. I don't recall the dates exactly.
Now, of course, this then is a special category of student. What we would like to understand is how these students are identified. Did you have a system at the Office of the President for these scholarships? Could you just explain how they were identified?
The President identified who is to be sponsored, and he would give instructions for us to pay. It was completely within his control.
Well, that's simple enough, right? I suppose. And that applies, whilst you were there, to all the students, apart from the Taiwanese group?
Yes. And other ones are paid on time.
Okay, there was a bonding process?
Yes, there was a bonding process.
At the level of the Office of the President?
Well, I think some of them were bonded actually at the institutions where they were working. That's those who were already within the public service.
I see.
And the rest were subjected to bonding by the presidency.
Okay. Do you have particular files dealing with these students?
There would be records of all these students within the Office of the President.
Would appreciate it if you would assist the Secretariat identify the records for each of these students.
Very well, ma'am.
During the ones for which, of course, you signed when you were Secretary General. Okay, thank you. All right. I think those are the questions I have for you today. Sorry, there was one more question. There's a transaction of 607,000 euro for the purchase, we understand, from Euro-African Group Director of 32 cars. I'll show you CB4, the first document in CB4.